These grips are fantastic. If you have a normal commuter bike, game changing, absolutely game changing, fantastic. For a Brompton, yes, they work, just, again, that kind of side angle here is very upright, so it's not particularly comfortable to hold. Top, brilliant. The flats, again, really good. That's the biggest change and the best change that you can make. But for the boostage, again, you need to use it pretty selectively because you can't access the brakes so quickly. Ordered these in the post, was questioning as to whether they'd work, because obviously the way it folds down, if you're adding any extra height, I think that realistically the bike needs to be boosted. So I thought, and I have ordered some of those skate roller wheels to put on the rack. They aren't here yet, and I thought that mounting these was a bit preemptive. And I didn't even know if they were going to work because they have to be sat at a slightly forward angle to be actually usable. So fitting them was skeptical. It didn't work at first, so I've had to mount them in a surprisingly aggressive rear stance. So holding them like this is pretty difficult because it's not comfortable. You're kind of down, pulling your elbows in. This, however, is fantastic. Boosting it up slightly, it makes it a lot more comfortable. Now, riding it all of today, my slight concern is that to get down, if something happens, to get down to your brakes, most importantly, but also to change gears is frustrating. Now, looking at the measurements of getting a P-bar to mount it higher up, I think that is a possibility, but this definitely is a good, if you have an S-bar and you're thinking, God, I want a bit of boostage, I mostly ride primarily in the kind of sporty stance, but do want some relief every now and then I think this is fantastic. These I got used on eBay for 40 quid. Brand new, I think they're between 80 and 90 quid. So used, definitely look on eBay for a used deal. These are in fantastic condition. They clamp down. There isn't a screw for the actual main grip section, but there is on the back here. I might get my phone in a second and show you, but there's just an Allen key that you twist there and that clamps everything down. You can adjust the angle, so if you want it to be more, no correction, on a Brompton you can't. That feels good, that feels really good. Lock this down. Drum roll please. Yikes. So I'll show you now, when you go for the fold, the way it is now, which is a pretty aggressive upright, literally only just fits. It makes contact. So this is why I don't think it's, if you're looking into it and thinking about getting an S-bar, just for the sake of it being, or because it is cheaper, I don't think it's worth it. But I would say, if you're thinking about getting a rack anyway, the P-bar, mounting a P-bar, I'm sure with the larger roller wheels, not these, with the skate wheels, you would be fine. Now, this, as you can see, makes contact with the wheel down here, which obviously if you have a muddy wheel isn't the best. But for the moment, as a stopgap between ordering a P-bar, I think it's great. Now bear in mind, if you're thinking about getting a P-bar, it's not just a case of sliding on the new bar and taking off the grips, putting the brake levers back on and the gear stick, etc. You do need to replace the cables. So these S-bar cables on the P-bar sit a lot higher up, so these would just be way too tight. There's no way you get them up. So that's one downside, but taking it to a bike shop, which is what I'll probably do when I'll ask them to install it, it's not a particularly difficult thing to do. So yeah, these grips are fantastic. If you have a normal commuter bike, game changing, absolutely game changing, fantastic. For a Brompton, yes, they work, just, again, that kind of side angle here is very upright, so it's not particularly comfortable to hold. Top, brilliant. The flats, again, really good. That's the biggest change and the best change that you can make. Anyway, my bike's getting wet, I'm getting wet, got soggy knees, all this, oh, my new light's getting wet as well, so I'm gonna pack away. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna, once I've done all my upgrades, including the skate wheels, well, I'll record a video when I do that, but I'm gonna make a proper tour of this bike. It is a bit rusty, but I kind of like it. It adds to the aesthetic. The old retro 2005 frame aesthetic. I don't know if it was cobbled together. It looks a bit cobbled, but regardless, it's a Brompton and it's doing a very good job of getting me from A to B. So, all right, I'm off.